Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. If you're 65 or older and thinking about doing a Roth conversion, the newly passed One Big Beautiful Bill might be giving you some opportunities, but it does add a few wrinkles you need to watch out for. In today's video, we're going to break down what's changed, what hasn't, and how this new $6,000 senior deduction could actually make Roth conversions more powerful in 2025. Especially if you're in retirement and doing tax planning for the long haul. Let's start with the good news. Roth conversions are still on the table. You can still convert pre-tax funds from, say, a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA over to a Roth IRA. You do pay taxes in the year you do the conversion, just like before. And importantly to note, there is no income limit when it comes to a Roth conversion. So if you are a high income earner, you are absolutely eligible. And yes, the backdoor Roth strategy is still available. Congress did float the idea a couple years ago of eliminating this, but the good news is it didn't make this bill. So if you're still making non-deductible contributions to a traditional and then shortly thereafter converting to a Roth, this is still an option. So the core principles surrounding Roths, those are still there. Now here's where things get interesting. While One Big Beautiful Bill doesn't directly impact Roth conversions, it does impact the tax environment around them, especially for older Americans, so it does impact them indirectly. The biggest change is the new deduction geared towards older Americans. The new $6,000 senior deduction. This is one of the most generous and strategic pieces of the newly passed bill. And if you're 65 or older, it could play a pinnacle role in your Roth conversion strategy. Starting in 2025, anyone 65 or older qualifies for a new $6,000 bonus deduction, and that's per person. So if you're married and both of you are 65 or older, you're looking at $12,000 added to your total deductions. This doesn't replace anything. It stacks right on top the previous standard deduction plus the 65 and older bonus you were already used to. So let's break it down for a married couple who were both over the age of 65 in 2025. The standard deduction for those married and filing jointly, $31,500. The extra bonus for being 65 or older, $1,600 per person or $3,200 for those married and filing jointly. And the new senior bonus, $6,000 each, so $12,000. That adds up to $46,700 in deductions just for showing up to retirement with the right birthday. But here's the catch, and it's critical for Roth conversions. You can only capture the new $6,000 per person deduction if your modified adjusted gross income stays below $75,000 for single filers and $150,000 for those married and filing jointly. Once your income goes above those levels, the deduction starts to phase out at a rate of 6%, meaning for every $1,000 you are above those thresholds, you lose $60 of deduction. It's fully phased out when single filers hit $175,000 and when those married and filing jointly hit $250,000. So what does this have to do with Roth conversions? Well, if you convert too much in one year, the converted amount gets added to your adjusted gross income, and that can push you through the phase-out range, so it can reduce or completely eliminate the deduction that you're eligible for. So if you're close to the limit, this may mean you want to limit how much you move in a Roth conversion so you stay below this phase-out threshold. This can lower your adjusted gross income, lower your tax bill, and allow you to capture the full deduction. But of course, it does depend on your personal situation. Timing and precision matter when you're doing these Roth conversions, and when we have new deductions at play, even though they're temporary, this presents a new opportunity for retirees. Your adjusted gross income doesn't just affect your eligibility for this deduction. It also impacts how much of your Social Security gets taxed, whether or not you'll be hit with Medicare IRMA surcharges, whether you cross into a higher tax bracket because of your conversion, and even your exposure to things like the 3.8% net investment income tax. The bottom line is this new deduction creates valuable breathing room when it comes to your adjusted gross income, and you can use this breathing room to convert a little bit more in some cases into your Roth if that's something you want to do. This can allow you to potentially take advantage of lower effective tax rates, and this is really where smart income management and conversion strategies go hand in hand. Let's do an example. Let's meet Bob and Linda. They're both 67 years old and retired. In 2025, they have $70,000 from Social Security and pension income. They want to do a Roth conversion, but carefully. They want to keep their income under $150,000 to qualify for the full $12,000 senior bonus deduction. So if their income stays under $150,000, here's the deductions they qualify for. You have the standard deduction for those married and filing jointly, the extra deduction for being 65 and older as part of the standard deduction, and the senior bonus deduction from the newly passed One Big Beautiful Bill. In total, their deductions would come to $46,700. Now let's say Bob and Linda decide to convert $75,000 from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. This gives them a modified adjusted gross income of $145,000, and that keeps them just under the $150,000 phase-out threshold, so they still qualify for the full $12,000 senior deduction. From here, we apply the deductions and calculate their total taxable income, which comes to $98,300. Then we apply the federal tax brackets for those married and filing jointly in 2025. This couple finds themselves just inching into the marginal tax bracket of 22%. Their total tax bill comes to just about $11,500. So in this situation, this couple manages to convert $75,000 into their Roth. They still capture the full $12,000 deduction. They stay mostly in the marginal tax bracket of 12%, and they also minimize Medicare IRMAA surcharges and reduce the amount of their Social Security subject to tax. Now let's see what happens if they convert more. Now let's say Bob and Linda are thinking bigger. They've been hearing that future tax rates might go up, so they want to take advantage of these lower tax brackets now and convert more into their Roth. While the One Big Beautiful Bill did lock in our current tax brackets, who knows what future legislation will bring. So they decide they're comfortable converting more, even if that means going into the 22% bracket, and even if that means risking phasing out this new deduction. Instead of converting $75,000, they decide to convert $120,000. So that means their new income is $190,000. At $190,000, they're now $40,000 over the $150,000 phase-out threshold for the senior bonus deduction. That means they won't get the full $12,000 deduction. That deduction shrinks as incomes for those married and filing jointly moves up towards $250,000. And if a couple passes that threshold, they don't qualify for any deduction. You might call this the conversion danger zone. You're paying more tax as you move into a higher bracket, and you're also losing part or all of the deduction you would have qualified for at lower income levels. But again, it's worth looking at this strategically and looking at it as part of your long-term plan. Maybe you have a really large IRA balance and you're looking down the road at very large future RMDs that would spike your income anyway. So maybe you decide that converting more now and losing part of that deduction is worth it. Again, it depends on your situation. The key is to know where this trade-off happens, and then you can decide for yourself how far you're willing to move into this phase-out zone if that's your situation. Recently, 2025 was seen kind of as a deadline, a last chance to do a Roth conversion strategy before rates were set to jump in 2026. And that belief made sense. Under the original Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the current tax brackets were set to expire on December 31st, 2025, at which point they would revert back to pre-2018 levels, which meant higher taxes across the board. So it looked like a tax hike was coming. But here's the update. The newly passed One Big Beautiful Bill changed that. It permanently extends the current tax brackets. So there's no automatic increase in 2026 and no built-in expiration date anymore. So yes, you can breathe a little bit easier now. You don't have to rush your conversions out of the fear that tax rates are going to immediately increase. But 2025 can still be a strategic year for conversions. Here's why. It's the first year the new $6,000 senior deduction is available. You still have access to the elevated standard deduction, and the tax brackets are stable, so you know exactly what you're working with. So while the urgency has shifted, the opportunity hasn't disappeared, and 2025 still gives you a great time to plan your conversion efficiently. Oh, and one last thing. Just because these tax brackets are permanent, it just means they don't have an expiration date. Congress can still change them at any time. So permanent really means permanent until lawmakers decide otherwise. And unlike the brackets, the $6,000 senior deduction is temporary. It's only available from 2025 through 2028. So if you're over 65 and thinking about moving money into a Roth, this might be a rare opportunity where you have more control and more breathing room to do that. So let's make this big picture. How does the new senior deduction affect Roth conversions? The new $6,000 senior deduction, or $12,000 for those married, both 65 and older, can make a Roth conversion more attractive. But here's the thing, it depends on your income level and it depends on your strategy. For many retirees, it allows you to convert more without paying more in taxes because it reduces your adjusted gross income. This can help reduce IRMA surcharges. It helps prevent you from moving into those higher tax brackets, and it reduces the amount of your Social Security that is subject to tax. In many cases, it can offset the added income from a moderate Roth conversion, especially if you stay under the phase-out thresholds. For higher income households, it may encourage you to convert less. Once your income passes certain thresholds, $75,000 for singles or $150,000 for those married and filing jointly, you enter that phase-out range. And then there are upper thresholds where you're entirely excluded from this deduction. A large Roth conversion can put you in that phase-out zone, and you can lose some or all of this deduction. So you may want to convert less in a single year or spread conversions out over multiple years to keep your income in that sweet spot to preserve the deduction. So the bottom line, for many retirees, this new deduction can be a valuable tax-saving window and allow you to convert a little bit more into your Roth, but it's not one size fits all. The answer for people isn't to convert more or less, it's to convert smart based on your situation. So what are your thoughts? How is it affecting how you're planning your Roth conversions? Leave your thoughts in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. The Roth conversion. That doggy needs to stop barking. Standard deduction. I feel like I need to slow down when I say deduction. Through the phase out range, which can I messed up anyway, so I can't even blame it on the siren. We'll just give it a minute. Limit the amount you move in the Roth conversion. So sorry. Any suggestions? If you have a neighbor who has a dog who barks all the time, what do you do? What do you do? Because I'm out. I don't know. P.S.